Hello. You caught me pouring in beer.
Yeah.
Little brew dog tonight. A new one.
What's that? Al what?
It's called Ald IPA.
Aldi. Would that by any chance be an Aldi PA?
No. If I put it up to the camera, it's a brew dog.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
No, it's not an Aldi. I think it come from
No. Look at the letters, the way it's written. It could almost
like
be
Aldi PA. Good afternoon, everyone. Evening.
Afternoon, evening, good night. Right.
As you can see, I have got the woolly jumper on today. Hi, Elliot.
Evening, Elliot. Welcome in again.
Oh,
you've got the woolly jumper on. I've got the heating on. It's actually down at 1 degree tonight.
1 degree. My God, it's cold.
It is. Bloody cold snap.
Yes, very cold.
And bonsoir, French vinyl addict.
Yeah, bonsoir. Good evening, folks. Well, shall we start off with the big news of the week?
Right. Which big news are we? Evening, Richard.
That since we started, how many people have actually watched this channel?
Oh, you mean the little thing that you posted crack of doom this morning? Yes.
Yeah. Yes, we've finally reached 250,000 views. That's a lot of people.
Yes. Thank you to everyone who's persevered and watched videos several times.
It's well done. Thank you, Mick. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So this week, though, only 2,718 people. Thank you very much, everybody. Have watched 13 new subscribers. So, what have you been watching? Well, number 3, the classic album from this week, The Cars, which is a brilliant album, 65 people. Retro ranking with Stevie Nicks, 78. But at number 1 is Richard and myself with our top 10 US 1980s number ones not in the UK. And Dave will be pleased about this one. The top short was Century Child by Nightwish.
Yay! Nightwish rule.
Yeah, so the 28 days, 36 people, 47 new subscribers. So if you're new,
welcome.
Yes.
Good evening, Zeb and Mike.
Yes, good evening, folks.
Yes, thank you, Mike.
So what have you been watching?
Oh, we have cause to thank French Vinyl Addict. Forwarded your videos to his sister, cousins, etc.
Oh, well done, mate.
Well done.
Top
Yes.
man. That's what made that difference. Anyway, people are still watching Slade. 177 people have watched Slade in the month. But 193 people are still watching Status Quo.
Yeah.
But 140 people of 214 people have watched Duran Duran last month, so that's not too bad.
Not as good as last week's.
Yeah, top short is news still at 140. So the channel now has had 250,637 people go, oh, let's have a look at this.
Yeah. And
we've now got 1,287 subscribers. Even better. Fantastic. Nothing changes. Derek Riggs 3993, Slade 41 791. Status quo 7788. So, and Jean-Michel Jarre's the Oxygen still 2,711 views. So, well, I haven't been listening to too much this week because I've sort of been preparing for Christmas. But
And looking after his lordship.
Yes, I'll give you a report on his lordship in a minute. Dr. Feelgood, 4 of the 17. Roger Daltrey, I've done 4 of the 10. Lou Reed, 4 of 22. Nick Lowe, 3 of 14. Crowded House, 3 of 7. Tim Buck, 3 of 6. And Haken, 3 of 7. I haven't completed it. I have completed, but I've completed for other things. So, yes. Anyway, quick update on Rocky. I'm sure a lot of you knew that yesterday he had to go to the vets for his annual MOT and his booster. And the good news is, folks, Rocky, for being 13, he's still got great teeth and he's doing fine. There is no issues. He's
there is, but they're not concerned about it.
Yeah, he's got a few lumps and bumps, but we all. And he's got a heart murmur, but there's no change in that, and his weight's fine, so everything's all right. So that's another year of that over. Anyway, less of me gabbling on. I think it's time for the most important.
Rocky went for his MOT, and I went for an MOT. Tuesday, I went up to see the neurovascular clinic to see the consultant who looked after me whenever I had my stroke, and he's so pleased that I'm quit smoking 9 months. The weight is up a bit. He says that's to be expected, but I'm doing classes at the gym and taking part in various other things, and he has discharged me from hospital care. So as far as he's concerned, go away, don't ever come back again.
Excellent news.
Yes. So
what the most important thing is now?
Zeb's got it.
Yeah,
Richard's got it.
It's just to do with the celebrations with all the socks up and all that sort of thing. Anyway, what has happened in Battle Royale last week, Dave?
Well, I'm going to do it in slightly differently this week because in the community, there's 2 places you can vote. Obviously, during the live stream, and the other place you can vote is on the community page. And the community page, it's the closest vote we've had. 29 apiece, dead even, 50-50. So it came down to the live stream last week, and there were 8 votes in it. Overall, Rainbow got 39 votes, but Yes went away with 47 votes. So Yes go through to the next round, and already this evening on the community, just having a quick look to make sure the numbers haven't changed. It's Stephen's going to be a happy chappy because he is leading 31 votes to 4 in the community at the moment.
And congratulations to Pulsar. He's the first one who he actually put 2 in
to get,
and
2
he's got
through.
both his albums through to the second round because he could end up playing with himself. That way. Anyway.
Oh, come on, schoolboy giggles all round.
Yeah, schoolboy giggles all round. Anyway, it's now time for a bit of hatching, matching, and dispatching.
Right. Whoops. Bring that up and clear the battle results out of the way. Okay. Notable deaths. If you've been following the news, you will know that we have lost a big name today. But I'll start back at last week, the 22nd of November. We lost 2 people. We lost Jean Knight, an American singer. She had a big hit in 1971 with Mr. Big Stuff. And we lost Jim Sailstrom, an American singer-songwriter, and he was lead singer of the band Timberline. 24th of November, we lost Morten Omlid, a Norwegian blues guitarist, composer, and producer. The 25th, we lost Julio Anderson, a Chilean bass guitarist with the group Los Jaivas. We also lost Les McGuire, who many of us will remember from Jerry and the Pacemakers. And we also lost Ingvar Nume, Norwegian actor singer in the show group Dizzy Tunes for about 40 years. He was with that group. They were one of the most successful ensembles in Norwegian entertainment. The 26th, we lost Brian Godding, Welsh jazz rock guitarist with groups Blossom Toes and Centipede. And we also lost Geordie Walker, guitarist with Killing Joke, and a songwriter. He wrote Love Like Blood and 80s. Now, I decided to include this pair. We had a double death on the 27th. Mohamed Bousmaha and Amin Lacolom, both Algerians. One's a singer, one's a musician, but they died in a road traffic accident in Belgium. The 28th, we lost Queensy Cheng, a Malaysian actress and singer. We also lost John Colliani, an American jazz pianist. And we lost, I wanted to include this one, a lady who's known by the name Dedema. She's a Mongolian, and I stress the word Mongolian, mezzo-soprano. Her name popped up and she was being touted as being Chinese. And I went and did some research, and she was actually born in Mongolia. So that's why I decided I'm going to stress the Mongolian bit. The 29th, we lost Scott Kempner, guitarist with the Dictators and the Del Lords. And then sad news today, Shane MacGowan, lead singer with the Pogues and songwriter, famously Fairy Tale of New York. He died today after a long bout with encephalitis. So commiserations to his wife and family.
And
birthdays.
We will be doing something on the Pogues in January.
Yes, they have been done. It's just the schedule is a bit full at the moment, and everything has sort of been pre-planned. So we're going to have to wait till the new year. Birthdays today. Funny enough, if he'd been alive today, Shane MacGowan, I'm sure, would be spitting. It would be Winston Churchill's 149th birthday. It's hard to think that such a famous person was born 149 years ago today. But anyway, musicians. The young ones today is 30 years old, Yuri Chinen. He's a Japanese pop singer with the group Hey, Say, Jump. 36 today is Dougie Pointer, a British singer and bassist with the group McFly. 45 today is Clay Aiken, an American pop singer-songwriter. He came second in American Idol 2003. 50 today is John Moyer, an American heavy metal rock bassist with the group Disturbed. 51 today is Christophe Beck, a Canadian pianist, conductor, television and film score composer. He composed the scores for the movies Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Hangover, Frozen, and Ant-Man. A lot to blame on.
Yes.
55 today. Desiree, born Desiree Weeks, pop singer, best known for Feel So High, You've Got to Be in Life. 64 today is Randy Gain, better known as Random Damage. He's an American keyboardist, and he formerly played in a band called Operation Mindcrime, which was formed by former Queensryche vocalist Jeff Tate. 65 today is Stacey Lynn Swain. She's better known as Stacey Q. 66 today, English-American rock guitarist John Ashton. he of Psychedelic Furs. Also 66 is Richard Barbieri. He's an English prog rock keyboardist and composer. He played in Porcupine Tree and Japan. Also 66 is Andrew Calhoun, an American folk singer-songwriter. 68 today, and this blew Iain's mind, is William Michael Albert Broad, but the rest of us know him as Billy Idol, the British-American punk rock singer, sang with the groups Chelsea, Generation X, and then he went solo. Exactly. I can see you. 69 today is George McArdle, an Australian rock bassist with the group Little River Band. 70 today is Johnny Shuggy Otis, an American singer-songwriter, recording artist, and multi-instrumentalist, and he does play a lot of instruments. Also 70 today is David Sanchez. You might know the name. He's an American session and touring keyboardist, and he has played with the E Street Band, Peter Gabriel, Stanley Clarke, and Zucchero, or Zucchero, whichever way you like to say it.
Right.
Yeah, Zucchero. 74 today is William Frank Reichenbach Jr. He's an American jazz trombonist and composer, and he's the son of Bill Reichenbach, who was the drummer for Charlie Bird from 1962 to 73. 78 today, and yes, Iain, you did hear it right, is Roger Glover, ye god of hard rock bass, playing for Deep Purple, Rainbow, and Episode 6.
Record producer.
You know, he's done it. 80 today is Oscar Harris. He's a Suriname Dutch pop and soul singer, along with Leo Lyons, British blues rock bassist for the group 10 Years After. When did you last hear 10 Years After?
The other
86
day.
today. Did you?
I had one of their albums on the other day.
Oh, excellent. 86 today is Jimmy Bowen, American record producer and pop star. And granddaddy tonight is 92-year-old Gunther Herbig. He's a German conductor. And he has conducted the Detroit Symphony, the Toronto Symphony, the Berlin Symphony, and the Dresden Philharmonic Orchestras. So those are all the birthdays today. Happy birthday, everyone. Matches. I picked out 3 notable matches. 1940, Lucille Ball married Desi Arnaz. They got divorced in 1960. In 1980, now our American friends will recognize the name of Jay Leno. Hopefully some of our British viewers will recognize the name. He's a comedian, TV host, and car collector, and he married his current wife, Mavis Nicholson. That's a good sounding, solid name. And in 2005, at the age of 65, Del Boy David Jason married his girlfriend and mother of his daughter, Jill Hinchcliffe. So those are your matches. Now, this year's talking point, well, the subject for this year is 1969. So I've got a few little bits for you. 24th February, The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie was premiered in London. The 11th of May, Monty Python was formed. The 20th of July, Apollo 11 landed, and we had the first moonwalk. The 15th of August saw the start of Woodstock Festival. And on the 19th of November, Apollo 12 landed, and the second moonwalk occurred, or I should say, the first moonwalk for the second landing. You know where I'm going. Birthdays, famous birthdays in 1969. Jennifer Aniston, Anne Hesh, Ice Cube, Michael Schumacher, and Brian Lara. And that one was thrown in for Iain. And famous deaths in 69, we lost Dwight D. Eisenhower, President of the United States, Boris Karloff, famous actor, Sharon Tate. And if anyone can remember how Sharon Tate died, let us know. Ho Chi Minh also passed away, along with Judy Garland. So that's your trivia, hatches, matches, and dispatches. And I can close that out of the way. Stephen's watching football tonight. All I can say is please vote for Russia 10-10 out. Stephen, you might have lost last week, but you're winning this week so far. Anyway, if you are ready, young sir.
I'm ready and willing.
Okay, let's put you up full screen and take that off. All right, there you go.
Okay, what do we got next week? Well, there's one person in the gallery who's going to be very excited because Monday we're doing Susie and the Banshees.
Yay.
Great band. Ranking the Susie and the Banshees albums. Classic album. Now, this is one of these albums that's probably not as well known over here, but it was a big hit in America from a musician called Billy Squier and Don't Say No. It is a great album. Tuesday, got a request. I'm finally doing Nirvana. I never thought I would do Nirvana, but I am doing Nirvana. Retro ranking. We're going to do a bit of Skip-Hole next week. We're going to do some Lonnie Donegan. Does your chewing gum lose its flavour on the bedpost overnight? Yes. Next week's marathon, a request. A recent one as well, Amorphis. Bit of metal grunting and just good head banging stuff this week. Next week, sorry. Wednesday. Richard's up for his second album and he's going up against Defenders of the Faith, Judas Priest. And we got a great DVD to review next week from the brilliant Kansas, Device, Voice and Drum. And this one does feature the one and only Mr. Robbie Steinhardt. So that will be worth watching. Friday, very big day. I've got a viewer's request. Someone's asked for some more Sex Pistols. So we thought, let's do the live albums because they release more live albums than studio albums, of course. Tomorrow, the long-awaited album of Mr. Peter Gabriel is out. Now, do you say that I-O or on-off?
I-O, I would say.
I-O, yeah. And then also next week, we have got part 2 of the Steve Hillage story and an album called Space Shanty from the band Calm. And then next Saturday, got another video with Richard.
Is that Space Shanty or Space Shanny?
I've put Shanny, have I? Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, I will have to change that. Anyway, let's move on. Next Saturday, we're doing a Beatles thing.
I like that one.
Yeah. Well, Beatles cover. So I thought, no, let's not put the Beatles up. Let's put the cover Beatles up, the cartoon Beatles. And Richard and I are going to go through our favourite Beatles songs done by other people. Yes, that got approval by the graphic design guru as well. She was very impressed. Anyway, that's what's happening next week.
Right, take that. Oh, well done. Right.
Let's go back into this.
Go back in here. Zeb and Matt. Yes, it was the Mansons.
Everyone seems to be happy with some of next week's content. Jolly D. Anyway,
it can be the Peter Gabriel album. It can be input output. It can be in out. It can also be 1-0. If you think of electrical switches, a lot of them these days, 1 is on, 0 is off. So it can also be on off. Anyway,
this week I've actually got an album to show that come out.
Oh no!
I have one album.
You only bought one album the whole year.
Well, what's that? I didn't get this, and this is not an original because I've not seen the original for ages. Status Quo released their second album.
Why did I not? Why did I think you would not be showing Status Quo?
Yeah, Spare Parts. It's got wonderful tracks on here, like Face Without a Soul, and everyone remembers that. Antique Angelica, Are You Growing Tired of My Love? Little Miss Nothing, When I'm Awake, Nothing at All. This was the last Poppy album they did. And on the back, the band at the time, I don't know if you can see, that's what the band looked like in 1969. We've got, I think he goes under the name of Mike Rossi on this. The guy next to him is a chap called Roy Linz, who was the original keyboard. And then you got Rick Parfitt. And then you've got John Coghlan and Alan Lancaster looking about 10. So that's what the band looked like in 1969.
Pop tops.
Yes. Anyway, as usual, that's the only thing. So, but for my 1969, Dave's already mentioned this, but of course, these little chaps did their debut. So, yeah, so that's, as you can see, I've got the complete. Of course, I have.
Yes.
Complete. So, but there was another BBC comedy, a classic that was debuted in 1969. If I go, the prologue. There's only one person to say that, or the epilogue. The brilliant Frankie Howerd in Up Pompeii. I love this.
I mean, he is so not PC, and it's brilliant.
Yes,
I love Frankie Howerd.
Yes. Films. We had 2 Carry On films, so out comes the Carry On box set again. Carry On Camping and Carry On Doctor Gang came out. 1969, of course, was a Bond year. And it's the one and only of Mr. George Lazenby in Her Majesty's Secret Service, which I do like the film. I like the plot. But
yeah, the plot's all right. The actor.
But you won't. I won't say too much because there may be something coming up about that. The only other films I've got from 1969 are all war films. So we'll start off with the brilliant
Battle of Britain.
Battle of Britain. I love that movie. Up next, someone that's starred in it, sadly passed away now. We knew him as Ducky.
Yeah.
Dave McCallum in the Mosquito Squadron, which is poor man's Dam Busters and using bits of 633 Squadron. Very cleverly done.
That was the raid on the prison, wasn't it?
Yeah. We're bouncing bombs on the ground. Which was quite amusing.
Yeah, which apparently was a failure.
Yes. Keeping with that theme, the next war movie that came out starred someone that he worked with on The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Ah, yes.
The Bridge
at Remagen,
which is a true story.
Yeah.
But the best one that came out that year was one of my favourite war films, Broadswords, Calling Danny Boy. Where Eagles Dare. I just love this film. I love the book. I've got the book, and I love the film. It's just a classic war film. So Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood, of course.
Funnily enough, I saw a thing the other day, an armourer that worked on a lot of Clint Eastwood films. He said he'd only ever come across 2 actors who never blinked whenever they fired a gun. Clint Eastwood was one.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd you guess the other? And I'll tell you
you can answer that one.
And I'll tell you that he's bald.
We love you, baby.
He was bald.
Tell you about this. Oh, yeah.
Nope.
Oh, it's the other one. Etc.
No.
Oh, it's not your Brenner.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm doing an impression of the King of Siam. Etc.
Oh, that. Oh God, that was the son.
Oh, well, you know what's that. Yeah, tough one,
Yes.
Christopher. Very tough one. I'm glad I'm not voting.
Oh, yeah.
But-
Ian and I talked about this earlier, and I would, if I had to cast my vote based on the first track of either album, I know where my vote would go. But listening to the whole album,
if you want to know what we would have voted, watch the video we're going to do in between the rounds. Because we're going to do a video. Dave is actually going to do his very first video. You've never actually recorded a video, have you? Like a proper recording, have you? So this is it'll be his first time doing a video.
No. This is news to me. No.
Anyway, we've got someone.
I'm going to need some bribe. I'm going to need bribing and corrupting.
Yeah. We've got someone sitting in the green room. It's Jimmy Barnes. Good evening, Jimmy.
Good evening, Mr.
Ian. Who's this?
Oh,
me on a bad night.
No, it's Rob Walker posing for a thumbnail. I think he changed it after I left the comment saying, "Bloody hell, could you look any less happy in that one?" I changed it to one of him looking slightly less grumpy than the other one.
Well, he's always not. He's not grumpy. It's not when we do mine. He's quite happy if he's here. But
this because it was a design thumbnail, because he added text to it, but I think he deliberately chose probably a screenshot or whatever where he looked like someone had pissed in his chips. He really did. Actually, it's funny. Well, before I forget, it's funny you mentioned about you showed Monty Python and Up Pompeii earlier. I've got some even earlier comedy I can show you right now.
Oh, brilliant!
I picked up a few weeks ago. I've not cracked into it yet. There you go.
Oh, Tony Hancock.
Yeah,
I've got the box set of Tony Hancock.
Oh, you've got this, have you? Oh, you'll be able to let me know if it's any good or not then. So I've never seen any full episodes. I've only seen sort of clips here and there. So.
Oh, I'm a huge Tony Hancock fan.
Oh, you are going to end up rolling around on the floor laughing.
Good.
I think I've got.
You've got to make allowances for the fact that it's way back then and it's not PC.
Well, no, I'm not bothered about that. I mean, the thing is, I only saw. I'm ashamed, really, because I consider myself a bit of a sitcom aficionado, really. But I only saw all of Steptoe and Son for the first time this year, and I absolutely bloody loved it. I'm gonna watch it again soon. And it was Galton and Simpson who wrote that, and didn't they write Hancock's Half Hour as well?
They did some of did some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm figuring, because it being black and white and all that doesn't bother me. But if I enjoyed Steptoe and Son, and I like the little clips of Hancock that I've seen over the years, then I've got to take a punt on it, really, just to add to my comedy collection, if nothing. Oh, there we are. I think this is the same box set. This is just like a HMV exclusive repackaging, I think.
You'll really enjoy it. It's got a show that he hosted, and he looks so uncomfortable, but the rest of it is hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. You will really enjoy that. Tony Hancock is a legend. I've got all his radio shows as well.
Oh yeah.
And I've got the when the missing ones with Neil Pearson put all the scripts together. And got Kevin McNally to play Tony.
Yeah.
He's absolutely brilliant, Kevin McNally as Tony. So now I've got they did all the missing ones because Neil Pearson collects scripts, and he got all these old Hancock scripts, the ones that had gone missing, and he put them together, and I've got all them as well.
What was his name? Molina, Alfred Molina.
Yeah, posting thumbnails in your strong point, Rob.
Yes, it is.
We know when it's a leap year because that'll be the next time you smile.
They're flying around tonight already.
Oh God, yes.
That's what I like.
Yeah, Kevin McNally. He's got a little bit of a niche of like taking on old roles, hasn't he? Because now, what was it? Was it when they remade those lost episodes of Dad's Army, and he was I think he played Captain Mannering in them. I've got those on Blu-ray because I get confused because like there's been the Dad's Army movie that was made. What was that, about 10 years ago? And then there was the We're Doomed, which was like a docudrama, weren't it? Which had a different cast. And then they had another different cast when they remade those lost episodes. And I think all the casts were good, maybe barring one or two that were a little bit iffy. But I always forget exactly which one of those Kevin McNally played in. And I think it was the lost episodes.
Where Robert Bathurst played Sergeant Wilson.
Brilliant. Yeah, I thought that was some good casting for Sergeant Wilson.
Yeah, and Kevin Eldine played Walker, and he got him down to. They got brilliant acting. I love them, and they've just put the animated using the original voices to animation. So you've got everything covered now on Dad's Army.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you'll enjoy Tony Hancock.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. I've got to get stuck into it. I've always got things like in watch lists online and other DVDs, and I rewatch stuff a lot as well, like stuff that I love. I'm due to rewatch Only Fools and Horses again over Christmas, and how many times I've watched all of that from start to finish, I've lost count. But I'm gonna do it again. So.
And all the way from Carolina, it's Carolina, isn't it, Elliot? All the way
North Carolina, yeah.
North Carolina, Elliot. Welcome again.
Hey.
I'm glad you're up again. Thoroughly enjoyed your last visit, so I'm glad you've come up again. How are you, anyway?
I'm doing great. I hope everybody else is as well.
Oh yes, it's cold here. It's freezing.
Yeah, a little cold here. Not freezing overnight, but not 40s and 50s in the daytime.
Yeah, anyway, my dog needs to go and do something. So, Dave, you have the con.
Oh, no. I hate it when he does that. Yeah. Jimmy, you will thoroughly enjoy Hancock.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. I'm looking forward to it. Like I say, Steptoe and Son. Why it's taken me till like 43 years old to watch that. I'm ashamed. I mean, I've admitted it in public now, but I'm kind of ashamed of it really because I pride myself on. I've watched some really obscure comedies and stuff that that's come out on DVD but no one's bought and hasn't been seen otherwise since the 70s and stuff like that. And I've got a really sort of eclectic collection, but Steptoe and Son, it's on BritBox, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to give it a go. And from the first episode, I was hooked. And I actually think the black and white ones are better than the colour ones.
Yes, because they added atmosphere.
60s.
Jimmy, if I'm not mistaken, the U.S. TV show with Red Fox, Sanford and Son, was taken from that show.
Sanford and Son. Yeah, it was, and it was. Was it an African American pair of gentlemen?
Yes, Red Fox was a famous comedian, and so this was a vehicle for him. Yes.
Evening, Mike.
Hiya. Yeah, nice to see you again, Jimmy and Elliot.
Yeah, cheers, Mike.
Yeah. Yes, Jimmy, in my opinion, Steptoe and Dad's Army are the two best British sitcoms of all time.
I've loved Dad's Army since I was young because my parents and my grandparents were obsessed with it. So I've been watching that for years. And Steptoe and Son, I've only just seen it this year. And I'm going to watch it again probably early in the new year, I think, from start to finish. Brilliant.
Yeah. If you haven't watched it and you want something that's full of double entendre, Are You Being Served?
Yeah.
That actually airs in the U.S. Pretty regularly. Are You Being Served?
The British one or the American one?
Say again?
It's PBS, isn't it, that show that sometimes. Are You Being Served? Because I lived in New Jersey for a little bit, like 20 years ago nearly, and actually it was either PBS or BBC America. I don't know if that channel even exists anymore, but they were showing Are You Being Served all the time, and it seemed to be quite popular.
It was a mainstay on the PBS stations here.
Yeah.
Wasn't there an American version of that?
I don't think Are You Being Served? I don't believe there was an American version of that, but I may be wrong.
Not sure. I don't think so.
Everybody goes and immediately starts searching.
One I haven't got at the moment. Are You Being Served? But it is. They have bits on with the streaming thing. BritBox. They have bits on there.
A lot of the best U.S. sitcoms were actually borrowed from the UK. Sanford and Son being an example. A modern example would be The Office. There's a U.S. version of The Office.
Yeah. I love the British Office, but I'm an even bigger fan of the American one. That's one of the few. That's one
I
of the
usually
few
hear people say the opposite. The U.S. one is good, but they like the British one.
Generally that's the case for me, but that is an exception. I do think the American one is superior, actually. Right, there was a American version of Are You Being Served, but it only the pilot was shot. It was called Beans of Boston.
That's it. I knew I'd heard that there was something. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Beans of Boston.
Just didn't go over. Just piling
moving things around a bit. He's going to try and move things around a bit. Oh yeah. Good evening, Nick.
Hello.
That's right. It was George O'Hanlon Jr. was the nephew of the proprietor.
Anyway, Mike, Susie and the Banshees on Monday.
Hey, I know. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
I've enjoyed re-listening to that. I really have.
Yeah. So, are you just doing Susie and the Banshees, or are you going to go into sort of solo stuff? And
oh yes, the solo stuff will come. Don't you worry. I couldn't. You can't do one without t'other.
Yeah,
as they say.
Yeah, where's Nick gone?
Off to the moon. Anyway, it's 1969. Has anyone got any records of 1969 to show?
Yep,
I've got a few.
Have you got a few?
Who wants to go first?
Go on, Elliot. You go first.
All right. You want me to just show one and go around and then show another one, or do I show all of them?
Go for it, Elliot.
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
This
is probably an obvious one for everybody, but the Couch album from Crosby, Stills and Nash.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually one I was about to clean. I'd picked up crate digging. These are everywhere in the U.S. I don't know how about in the U.K., but you can find used copies of this everywhere in the U.S., but they're usually played to death, as you can imagine. But just to me, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, I prefer them over Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. And I really think the magic was only there for a couple of years. This album and Deja Vu and the live album 4-Way Street, maybe. But after that, I mean, not that it was any of it after that was bad, just not to the high level that we would get there. Now, here's one. This lady's name is Carolyn Franklin from 1969 on RCA. Baby Dynamite, it's called. Anyone want to venture a guess of who Carolyn Franklin is?
Little Eva.
She has a famous sister.
Must be Aretha's sister then.
It is. It's Aretha's sister. I think she did a couple of albums, and it's really very good. But I guess it's pretty difficult to compete in the music world, soul music world, when your sister's Aretha Franklin. That's a high standard. And then this album is actually from my mother's collection. I can remember this record being one of only a handful of records I remember being in my household as a child growing up. 69, I would have been 10, turning 11. And this is an excellent album. Roberta Flack, First Take.
Oh, what a good album. That is an excellent
on Atlantic. And, she was a school teacher in the Washington, D.C. area, originally from North Carolina, I might add, but a school teacher in the Washington, D.C. area. And for extra money, she was playing the piano in a small little lounge in the District of Columbia when just the right person walked into the lounge and heard her. So, sometimes you just being out there, putting yourself out there, even if it's for hardly anything, for a few people that aren't half listening, can pay off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Youngbloods, Elephant, what's it called? Elephant Mountain by the Youngbloods. I like the artwork on that one. And this is Jesse Colin Young. He would go on and do solo albums after this. But interestingly enough, the man that produced this album for RCA is it wouldn't seem the match doesn't seem to be there, but it was actually Charlie Daniels that produced this album for them, and it's got Darkness, Darkness on there, which was one of their hits. But by far, the thing I think of in '69. My favorite band of all time put out their first album in 1969, and that would be the Allman Brothers.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
Yeah. And this is, we often think of these tracks on here from the Fillmore East live album. That's where you hear them mostly, but it's really, chock full of albums. It's got Black Hearted Woman on here, Trouble No More. It's Not My Cross to Bear. Don't Want You No More. Every Hungry Woman, Dreams, and Whipping Post. Most of these were written by Greg Allman, and but one of them's of course a Muddy Waters song, and another just traditional blues song. But the great band that don't call them Southern rock, don't like that term. Greg Allman said calling music Southern rock is like it's a redundancy. It's like saying rock, because rock and roll in America came from the South. So there's my 6 records I wanted to share with you right there.
They are just excellent ones, Elliot. I mean,
thank you, Elliot.
That debut album now is more of a greatest hits album, isn't it?
Yeah, you could say that. It
is, because it's got the classics on, and old Greg used to get a little narked about Southern rock, didn't he?
He did.
He used to get. Whoa.
The thing about saying so about that, literally a label to try to sell records. The record labels adapted. Southern rock was any band that came from south of the Mason-Dixon line that was signed during that period of the early 70s. They put that label on them, Southern rock, whether they were so far removed from what we would think of as Southern rock or not. I know of one band that used to play around here, and they got signed to a major label. They were just a rock band, not a Southern rock band. And they just put cowboy hats on them and put Western shirts on them and stuck them out there and just promoted the heck out of them like that.
Because they used to work a lot with Lynyrd Skynyrd, didn't they? And that was there was that thing where there's Southern, there was an interview. I've watched a great thing and I think it was before he died. Gary Rossington said there was this thing that we helped each other, but we loved each other, but we didn't want to work with each other because we didn't match. We were, we didn't.
Right.
They didn't want to be band in with us. We didn't want to be band in with them. But it was the record company that said you're going to go out on tour together.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous. And they I don't know how they stayed friends all through that, because it was all argy-bargy, wasn't it? But they all stayed great friends. There's great stories of them times. Anyway, Mike, what have you got for us?
Right, well, yeah, I was looking at, 1969, I think it was a great year for debuts from really, really big acts. I mean, Elliot's already mentioned the Allman Brothers. And you've got Crosby, Stills and Nash. Well, there you go, Neil Young and Crazy Horse. Everybody knows it's Nowhere. An absolutely brilliant debut album. And I think this album, it's got the best first and last tracks of just about any Neil Young album anyway, but of just about any. You start off on side one with Cinnamon Girl, and you finish on side two with Cowgirl in Sand. And it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant album. And I love it. One of my Neil Young favourites. Next one, not a debut, but it's Sandy Shaw.
Oh,
and it's reviewing the situation. And I suppose you could sort of call it a debut in a way, because at about this time she was getting a bit fed up with being a pop star. I think she had a bit of a falling out with her manager, and she wanted to get into sort of a bit more serious music, and so she does some great covers on this. There's Bob Dylan's "Lay Lady Lay," and then you've got Mamaroo, Sun in My Eyes, Walking the Dog. And then she does, so on side two, she does a cover of the Beatles, Love Me Do. And then you got Coconut Grove, and then you finish off with the Stones, Sympathy for the Devil. So that's a 1969 album. This is actually a double album. It's a record store day, so it's got a lot of live stuff on, and extra material on the second album. Next up, and it's a band who actually released 3 albums in 1969. And,
wow.
I'm going to show this one.
Oh,
Airport Convention, what we did on our holidays. And, anybody that was at school in the 60s and 70s will know that the first essay you had to write after the school summer holidays was what I did on my holidays. And that's what it comes from. So, Legion Leaf was released by Fairport in '69, as was Unhalf Brickin'. But I thought I'd show this one instead. It's got absolutely classic track on here, Fotheringay, which of course ended up being the name of Sandy Dennis' band when she made the one and only album with them. And, it's absolutely brilliant folk rock album. Next off, can't really be a UK VC channel without showing Slade.
Hey!
So there you go. Ambrose Slade.
Yeah.
Was it his second album? Did someone just say that was Neil Young's second album? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, this is not an original. I'm afraid it's a bootleg, but it's absolutely brilliant. And Slater, one of my favourites. Right, now we get into the sort of proggy stuff. So you got this Colosseum, Valentine Suite. It's a sort of concept album. They're sort of jazz rockers, a bit sort of embryonic sort of prog. So side 2 is the Valentine Suite, and it's in 3 parts. And this is actually a 1972 repress, and it's on Bronze Records rather than on Vertigo. And this fits in with one of your videos from about a week ago, Iain, because of course it's produced by Jerry Rond.
Jerry Bron, the man himself.
Yeah. So that's the first of the prog. Then we've got Van de Graaff generator, aerosol grey machine, and this wasn't really intended to be a Van de Graaff generator album. It was going to be a Peter Hammill solo album, and I think for all intents and purposes, that's what it actually is. But again, it's a bit of early prog for you. And then finally, got to show this, haven't we? King Crimson, Call to the Crimson King. There it is. Album that I think everybody knows. I just leave you with a question here. What do you think links Call to the Crimson King with Box Fizz? So I just leave it at that. So that's my 1969 albums.
That's some good ones there.
Yeah.
Like the Fairport Convention album you showed is the Fairport Convention is Richard Thompson. Was he with him when that album?
Yeah. Richard Thompson was in the band at the time. Simon Nicol, Dave Smallbeck, can't remember who else. Obviously, Sandy Denny. Yeah, God, I can't even read the. Can't see.
Now,
Anyway.
some of those guys broke away and formed Renaissance, didn't they?
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
No.
Yeah. And you see that, Mike? Richard says Pete Sinfield or Seinfeld.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's the link precisely then?
I'm sure he'll tell us.
Yeah. What is it, Richard?
Anyway, while he's done that there, we'll now make someone else big because he's got some stuff to show. Because I can see while Mike was showing his, he was putting them in order. We'll go to the French Vinyl Addict first.
Yeah, hi everyone.
I
also brought that one. Yes,
I thought you were going to show Leisure Leaf. Oh, you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is actually. I think that there is a 3 album in 1969. This album, of course, debut album, yes, which is not prog yet, I would say. Beautiful album, I really like. With Tony Kaye, with Chris Squire, and
the original guitarist.
Yeah, the Strobes.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's a great album.
Debut album, 1969, really cool. Some consider prog. I do not. I consider folk. Maybe you can help me on that one.
That's their debut.
Yeah, just as the next one, which is also not prog. Of course, they were a massive source of inspiration for all this prog band family. Roger Chapman. Another classic album, The Moody Blues.
Swords of the Lost Chord, good album.
Some reasons. And to finish off, maybe some more obscure psych rock. This is called Quintessence in Blissful Company. And it's very experimental, very psych, very late 60s. Don't know if you guys already heard of. Was released on the Island label.
Nice.
This is my 1969 selection of the day.
Great choice.
Okay, good stuff.
Excellent albums there.
Good choices. Good choices.
Yeah.
Well, did I see our good friend from Japan fiddling with her albums as well?
Yes, he was.
Is my sound okay?
Yeah.
Sound
Ohio Rice-san.
Ohio, the sun is coming up behind me. So hello from the land of the rising sun.
Literally.
Literally. So the first record I'm going to show is a record that is really cherished in my collection. I bought this one as a teenager, and it is this one, Bloodwind Pig, A Head Rings Out. One of yours from Britain. And this image.
Cut covers of the 60s.
Yeah. Here's the tail.
That's the best bit. Let me flip it over.
I bought that just for the colour.
So this band was headed up by Mick Abrahams, who was with Jethro Tull. He was only with Jethro Tull on their first record, which was a blues record, and he knocked heads with Ian Anderson. They did not get along, and he formed this band with 3 other guys. And you see how this guy is playing the horns. This is a hard-driving jazz rock fusion record. I absolutely love it. If you see this record, they only had 2. Get this one. Mick Abrahams wrote the liner notes, and it was produced by Andy Johns of Rolling Stones fame. So the next record that I have to show is this one, which I also love very much. It's Songs for Taylor by Jack Bruce. And this was his first solo record, I believe, after Cream. And it had the guys from Coliseum playing on it. And it kicks off with a song called Never Tell Your Mother She's Out of Tune, which has got the most complicated beat, complicated timing of any rock song of that period that I can remember. He also has theme for an imaginary Western that he wrote, that Mountain made famous. It's a great record. It was produced by Jack Bruce, and he worked with a lyricist named Pete Brown for many years. My next one is an American. What's up? Someone's waving.
You're back up.
Yeah, Al Cooper from New York City. Okay, This is his solo record. Man, this is a great record. And this is the Japanese pressing, and I just want to show you something really cute. And can you read that? Liner nodes. They misspelled notes. Is that not the cutest thing? But they did the lyrics.
Her.
And man, I mean, what I love about this record is what he does is he starts off, and Pete Townsend of The Who did this. He has an overture where he includes little snippets of every song at the beginning of the song, track 1. A lot of artists did that in the 60s. Nobody does it anymore. Al Cooper, The Nice, Keith Emerson, right? And this has America by Leonard Bernstein. The 2 of them butted heads. There's a story of them almost getting into a fight at a restaurant. And just because I have the microphone, I want to show you guys something. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, immediate pink label. All right, I'll speed it up. Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks, Where's the Money?
I love that one.
And on the back cover is a beautiful, I mean, you guys, you live in Victorian apartments. The San Franciscans lived in Victorian apartments, right? Look at that room. That is a typical San Francisco Victorian or Edwardian flat. This is a country record, beautifully recorded. Lee Michaels, right? Organ. This was recorded on a sound stage. Has a live record, beautiful recording. Stormy Monday. It's just him and a drummer named Frosty. Chambers Brothers, 1969, doing I Wish It Was Rain, which Rod Stewart popularized with the Faces. Can't Heat, 1969. Fantastic record with the late Bob the Bear Height. Just a picture of health. Bob the Bear Height. Chicago Transit Authority.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
The guy who Jimi Hendrix said was a great guitarist who accidentally killed himself with a gun. And lastly, Procol Harum, A Salty Dog.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant album.
Brilliant album.
Excellent choice.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, so far we have seen so much great things. And Stephen's asleep. Steve, you can wake up now, mate.
What a year 1969 was. Just
Go on, Stevie. Show us Tommy, won't you?
Yeah, I've got it here.
Yeah.
Didn't expect anything else.
I didn't. Oh, come on, let's be honest. There was only one real album in '69.
I almost pulled that one, Steve.
I got cream as well.
Oh yes, lovely.
That was supposed to be for last week. I think that's 68, isn't it?
68, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't got a loop. Make me small. Carry on.
No, Stevie, that was the best album of 69.
What is that?
What is
Yeah,
that?
Hey. Hey, that's debatable, Iain. That's really debatable.
It's a dodgy album. Anyway.
Any more to show?
I've got some albums to show that I brought this week.
Right.
So make me big.
Off you go.
Well, I said on the Diamond shops that I would advertise his shop. We've got a great record shop in Northampton called Spun Out. There's his, it's even got his Facebook.
Free bag.
Where's that, Iain?
Where John Lever was at the bottom of Gold Street.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I got a 3 for a tenner, and the first one I picked up.
Oh, she's great.
Oh, yeah. Joan Baez the first 10 years. It's a double album. Picked up I got 3 for a tenner.
Yeah.
It's great. It's got some great pictures of it in the middle.
Yeah. One of the acts that appeared at Woodstock.
Yeah, this is it's got Ghetto on it. If I Were a Carpenter, Silver Dagger, John Riley, Carry On, Georgie, Sweet Sir Galahad. It's got all the first, before there are big hits and that. But it's a great double album. I can't wait to play that. I've played it on my little one that I've got, and I love it.
Why didn't Bob Dylan stay with Joan Baez?
I don't know.
She was gorgeous, wasn't she, when she was younger?
Yes, absolutely gorgeous. And now an album that I had on cassette back in the day, and it got chewed up. And I walked in, and I could just see it. I picked it. I had to get it. Repeat when necessary. The one and only Mr. Dave Edmunds.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, good stuff.
This has got some. This is like another mini greatest hits. I mean, the tracks on here are Girls Talk, Dynamite version of Mud's Dynamite, Queen of Hearts is on here. Of course, Nick Lowe plays on this as well.
Yeah,
shocker there.
And well, when I first got this, it said on bass guitar Billy Bremner, and all I could think of was the ex-Leeds United captain.
Yeah, God.
And I couldn't find any more albums, right? And they're all $4.95. So I found a 12-inch single, which I showed Richard the other day. Bit of Graham Parker and the
Oh,
Room.
that's a great one.
Yeah. That was a fantastic single. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this song. It's one of my favourite songs by Graham Parker. And I thought, I'm going to have that. And on the
why not
side is Watch the Moon Come Down. So it's got 2 great tracks.
That is a great song, Iain. Watch the Moon Come Down is a burner of a song.
Okay, Pulsar. Have a good evening.
Yeah, I'd never seen that ever. I thought I've got to have it. So yeah, that's my first purchases for a long time. But it's a great shop. So if you're ever in Northampton, go and find Run Out Records. He does all old records. He does modern records, picture discs.
Oh dear! You might have to go back and see if he's got another copy.
Well, I'll go and have a look for you, Record Hound, when I'm in town next week. If I see a copy anywhere, Record Hound, I'll get it for you. No problem, because you can't not have this album.
Yeah,
it is just a great Dave Edmunds album. Anyway, I don't need to be big now. So there we go.
I suspect Michael has another one to show us.
Real quick, you mentioned Graham Parker and the Rumor, and I just want to say that the American copy had these stickers that came with it.
Fabulous.
You just you'd put them all over your refrigerator and make your mother really happy. That's it.
Thank you.
Michael showed the Al Cooper record in there, and was there anybody any more diverse and eclectic as far as what they did in music in rock and roll than Al Cooper? Man, that guy was so many places doing so many things for so many years. Do you know he wrote a soul ballad that he shopped around very early on? Couldn't get anybody to bite on it. Nobody couldn't get anybody to take it. And Gary Lewis and the Playboys, Jerry Lewis' son, Gary Lewis, they took that song and Leon Russell basically did it for him. He basically was the Svengali of Gary Lewis and the Playboys in the studio. He turned that great soul ballad into this poppy, real pure pop song. And Al Cooper was so mad about that because he changed the song. The song was This Diamond Ring. He changed it so much that it totally made it something that it wasn't intended to be, until the checks came in, because that was a #1 hit. And then Al Cooper was a little bit better about what they had done to his song. But I thought that was an interesting little thing. You know, you change your mind, you change your attitude when somebody covers your song, when royalty checks start rolling in.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to bring Nick in. We know Nick's a huge Madness fan. So, have you had a listen to the new Madness album?
Yes, I have. Yes, I picked up my copy last Saturday.
What's your verdict?
Sorry?
What's your verdict on it then?
It's good. It's very good. If I could throw one criticism at it, it's quite samey, especially with Suggs leads, doing the lead vocals. It needs Chaz Smash back to sing along with him, backing vocals and help him along. The trouble is with Suggs nowadays, he doesn't so much sing, he kind of speaks. That's because he smokes quite a bit, he drinks quite a bit. But I enjoyed it. Very good, good effort. And of course it's #1.
Yes.
#1, top of the charts, top of the pile.
Yeah, I'm reviewing it tomorrow. I just wanted your review. Have you got any comments on that one, Jimmy?
No, no, I've not listened to the new Madness album. I'm building up my Madness collection, but I'm trying to get all the, dare I say, the classic period, the original era Madness out of the way first. And I've been picking up the reissues as cheap as I can. And I've got one sat there that I've not listened to yet. I'll probably listen to that tomorrow. And there's another one on the way. And then the
what's the one you got sat there, Jimmy?
Oh, I'll show you, even though it will be in an upcoming video. But I've seen plenty of people.
Oh, 7. Yeah. That's a cracking album. Album.
I know the singles off it. I don't actually think any of them are like particularly strong singles by Madness, but that's my opinion anyway. And the one I've got coming, which might come tomorrow, is The Rise and Fall, I think. So,
yeah.
So I'm getting there slowly, but the newer ones, like from 2000s onwards, are generally a bit more expensive. So I'm waiting for sales, and I'm just picking up, once around the £15 mark or under.
Yeah.
No,
that's a good album. You should like that one.
Yeah, I've not heard it, the new one, but it's great. They've got a number one album. I was surprised that was actually their first UK #1. I assumed one of the 1980s ones would have got to #1 back in the day, but no.
One Step Beyond made number 2. Absolutely made number 2. After that, they were either in the top 10, top 20. The one they did as The Madness, that only made about 65. And it's not a bad album, not the best, but not a stinker. But yeah, 44 years before they've had a number 1 top of the pile album, you know.
Yeah, I was really surprised at that, Nick, when you mentioned it the other day, and I thought surely at least one of those would have been number 1. But yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's like the Who, isn't it?
Yeah.
Number 1 singles. Yeah.
Now you mention the Who, when I collected the Madness album, I had a flick through the shelves, and I came across the Who, a quick one, which I picked up from Camden Market a few weeks ago. Half Speed, Abbey Road, Super Duper album, whatever you want to call it. I got mine for 25 quid, brand new, still in the shrink. £44 in HMV for exactly the same album.
Yeah.
What a rip-off.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you have to be really careful, don't you? Did you see Simon showed a load of those Abbey Road half speeds the other day?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he showed Madness though, did he?
No.
Or the Who. Yeah.
Well, I've got the Face Dancers half speed a few weeks ago. Yeah, I've shown it on the channel. Yeah, it's been in a previous video. It was definitely one of the Abbey Road half speed ones because it had that Obi, the Obi strip in it, but it was coloured by from Drift Records in, I think it's Devon. And it was on sale at $13.99, and then they were putting out another code on Twitter at the time. So it only cost me just a bit over £10 plus about £3 postage. So
that's not bad.
New and sealed, not second hand. It's all brand new stuff at Drift as well.
Yeah,
I think they've still got copies of it at that price. Last time I looked, as well.
I've got an original copy, and it should come with a poster.
Yeah, this one came with it had some sort of insert in it, like a little booklet or something like that. But obviously, it's a re-release. But I just thought for the price, even though I didn't even know if I'd like it. The only thing I knew was the single "You Better You Bet" on it, which is a single. And it turns out I really like the album, so I've been trying to find a few more Who bargains since then. So. But I thought that for just over £10, even at $13.99, I would have got it, to be honest. But then there was an extra discount, so I think that's still available at Drift. So if anyone wants to avail of that bargain, I think they've got surplus for some reason. I don't know why.
What do you reckon to Kenny Jones drumming then, compared to Keith Moon? Have you heard any older Who albums?
I've heard older Who. I mean, I've not heard sort of enough apart from selected singles and a few album tracks. I don't think I've heard enough to really make a fair comparison, really.
Because he gets a lot of stick as a Who drummer, and no stick at all for drumming with small faces. But Keith Moon was a hard act to follow. Didn't matter who you put on the drums. I don't think he was that bad. I thought he was quite good.
Should we be talking about the Who? I mean, Stevie's not here. It feels kind of like we're cheating on him. So can we just can we put it on hold for a couple of minutes, guys?
Anyway, while we wait for Stevie to come back, this record collector. There you go. And this will interest Mike.
Hey.
Yeah, they're re-releasing these albums on coloured vinyl, and one of them is
Slade.
Ambrose Slade.
Yeah. I think the Ambrose Slade one sort of came out a few weeks ago. I could be wrong.
Yeah, so they're re-releasing the live album, Slade, Old, New and Borrowed, Slade Within Flame, Nobody's Fool, Beginnings, Sladis, and the Amazing Kamikaze Syndrome. So they're all coming out on classic Dulux Media books and all that sort of good thing. There's some good articles in this month. Some latest releases from Cherry Red on the back.
Oh, sorry. I minimised you. Go again. There you go.
Cherry Red do some good stuff, actually.
Yeah, they've got on here Lena Lovitch.
Oh.
Nova Acapulco album, so that's going to be worth getting. The Wizard Singles Collection. I mean, I'd have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good. And the Tornadoes.
That's gone back a bit.
It is, yeah. They've got their. There's an article on here on the Madness album, and they gave it a 4 stars. Which isn't too bad.
I think the very latest edition of Record Collector's a Madness one.
Yeah, I've seen that one, but
I can't find it anywhere, so I'm going to have to mail order it, I think.
Well,
I usually see it in my local Tesco's, but it's not there.
I'm sure I saw it yesterday when I went in my local post office.
So these reissues, what are they costing in the UK? What's on average?
I don't know if this has got any prices. I'm not quite sure because
£20, £30, £40. What's the typical?
I think it depends what it is. I mean, I saw in this record shop they've got a Genesis reissue on bog standard thing. I think it was Selling England by the Pound.
Yeah,
I think it was $19.99.
Okay.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm not a Genesis fan. I wouldn't buy it, but it sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah.
So really, the used stuff is cheaper than the new stuff in the UK, right? If you can find something in good condition.
Yeah.
Right. So do the stores let you play them? They let you audition them at the shops?
Yeah, I mean, when I said I want this, I says, "Can I have a quick listen before I put it on?" And he says, "Yeah." And when he took it out, I can get it out a little.
Yeah,
that's in pretty good nick.
Yeah,
right.
But you never know what kind of a stylus the guy before you played it on. So I mean, visual grading is yeah, sure, it's a cursory indication of what you got, right? And so you can often be unhappy when you get home and play the thing, only to find out that it's got a ton of surface noise because the owners before you played it with too heavy a stylus or played it with a dull stylus and ruined the record, right?
Yeah, I mean, when he put it on, he put on Girls Talk, and it sounded great. And I'm not going to play it on my little one. I'm going to wait until I get my new one. But yeah, it's it's just I like it when he just plays that. He says, "Yeah, sure." I mean, I brought the stuff within 20 minutes, but I was in there for an hour and a half, just talking music and about, because it used to be, it was a record shop where I brought all my records from as a lad, and then we got talking about the vinyl community. He'd never heard of the vinyl community. And,
good thing.
Good thing, really. No, and I told him what we do, and he says that's fantastic that guys like us are really promoting vinyl again.
Just
to what's driving the resurgence.
Just to come in on the last conversation,
Yes.
Yes, the Who. Let's revisit the Who, of course.
No, the Abbey Road Studios.
Yeah.
Half speed.
I got this in the record store day. You know, when I did my record store day video.
Yes.
But this was from last year's record store day. Nobody obviously wanted it, and it was only like, I think it was £22.50. So that's why I got it. So that's my only Abbey Road 45 RPM.
That album gets quite a bit of stick, doesn't it? But I don't think it's that bad, to be honest.
It's not too bad.
Quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. I love Better You Bet. Oh, it's a great song.
Yeah.
My record store day strategy is to not attend. Go in months later or years later to the bins where they're trying to unload stuff that's been sitting there for 6 months or 3 years. I've got some of my best records as record store day records from 4 years before that, or 2 years before that. Some really, I got a Big Star record, a live Big Star reunion record that I'm sure they were getting $38 for or something. It's a double record, I believe. Probably getting $38 a record store day, and I think I gave them like $17 for it or something.
Yeah.
So I don't get up early in the morning and go get in line. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'm like that. I'm not the lemmings. I'd never queue. I mean, they queue outside his shop for hours before, he said this year he got there and the queue, I don't know if you know Gold Street, Nick. It was
little.
Yeah, the queue was past the old snooker hall, and it was near enough opposite where Wilco's used to be.
Oh, Wilco's. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I don't like about it is actually not this year but the year before. I was stood in a queue and I was talking to this girl next to me. She was a real Taylor Swift fan, right? And she had Taylor Swift sweatshirt, hat. She had it on her jogging bottoms. I mean, she was so I said, can I just ask what you're waiting for? And she was, there was this one Taylor Swift record. I don't know if it's like a 7-inch or a 10-inch, just one. And this is in near Dartmoor, small town. I don't want to say the shop, and I spotted right at the front of the queue, seconding in the queue was another young lady, and she had Taylor Swift on her sweatshirt. So. And I thought, I hope this shop's got more than one. Of course, the shop only had one copy, right? Oh. So this girl, dived straight in, got it, and then went to the rule was you go to the back of the queue for the next something, And this girl, I saw her go in. She went in with her boyfriend. She came out a red face, really upset. Taylor Swift's gone. And they only had one copy, and I thought. This is not a very lovely scene, really.
What a shame.
Yeah. That's the reality of like Taylor Swift limited edition. I nearly did a video like Taylor Swift.
I really am. Taylor Swift, like her albums will cost more than like the record players that these kids are playing them on. Like, well, she put out, was it some sort of live album for this year's record store day? And the price of it compared to everything else, I mean, I know the prices do vary depending on who the artist is and probably other factors that I don't understand. But her stuff always seems to be more expensive. And, I think, you're paying probably like £50 for that Taylor Swift album. And
the last one during summer
that cost that much.
Yeah, the last one during summer, they had one left. This was in Wimborne, where Robert Fripp used to live. They had one in the window. It was 70 quid. And I thought, for a young girl, like young teenage girl to, Mom and Dad, can I have that? I mean, it's just,
I did a video a couple of months ago. I wasn't calling out anyone in the VC, but there is someone, and I'm a big fan of him, actually, Martin Harris. I'm sure some of you will know who I'm talking about. But he's a Taylor Swift collector, and he collects all the different variants because she puts out like because she's re-recording her albums for some reason. There's something to do with some lawsuits, I think. I don't know.
It's because she owns she had a dispute or something. I mean, I know nothing about Taylor Swift. She had a dispute or something with an owner buying the catalogue of those first 4. So she's reissuing. So she owns the master tape.
It sounds like you know nothing about Taylor Swift.
It's come out in like multiple different vinyl variants, and then there's even different coloured CDs as well. And I think, well, we know what Taylor Swift's main audience is. It's like it's young to teenage girls. You know, these aren't a customer base who, by on their own merits, can afford all this stuff. You know, I know there'll be some out there who'll just say, well, I'll just have one CD or one record and that's fine. But let's face it, there's going to be loads who are like, oh, well, I need them all. I mean, Martin Harris, he's not a teenage girl, but he still needs them all.
I saw that video.
He spends a lot on records, and he enjoys it. Obviously got disposable income, and that's fine. But I kind of made a video about it, just saying, I think the amount that she or her record label puts out just of one album, the amount of variants is a little bit much to put it mildly.
Sounds like the Rolling Stones there a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, you hit it on the nail on the head, Jimmy, with that video about music in general.
Yeah.
It was a very good video.
Having said that, Jimmy,
it felt like I was singling Martin out because I'd only just finished watching his last record haul for the month, and it was full of Taylor Swift, and it felt like I was sort of singling him out. So I made it clear at the start, I like this guy. I'm not, I'm talking about, the record he's bought, but that's his choice. And but it's, especially in a cost of living crisis and all the rest of it, you can, why does it have to be so much more expensive? I don't know.
Jimmy, you might do a revenge video and say, look at Jimmy and how many copies of the New Order's Substance has he got? He's got the tape.
He did post a video reply, which I was quite flattered by because I didn't even think he really knew who I was, and he was nice and polite, saying, I know that Jimmy wasn't having a go at me personally. He was just talking about record buying habits generally, but I did get a lot of the Substance reissues, and the cassette one's crap. It cuts out. I think it's State of the Nation on side A of tape one. It cuts off. There's only like half of it. It suddenly fades out. It's so rubbish. I've got a much better cassette version of it. I've got CD versions, but it was
the canvas box. You haven't got your postcards. Not to sound obsessive, but I used to have the canvas box. And it had the 4 postcards in it. Yeah,
it's got some sort of insert in it, but I think there is some stuff missing. But I got it cheap on eBay a few years ago. So yeah.
Well, who's buying all the variants and figuring that they want to have all the variant copies of the Hackney Diamonds? What is that? Is that guys my age? Is that senior citizens buying that up? Or
there were loads of them, weren't there?
Who's the target audience for all those?
They seem to be announcing like new ones like week after week. There's one I remember seeing recently, and I thought, well, like you said, Elliot, who's the target audience for this? It was a special edition of Hackney Diamonds, but it had the Barcelona Football Club logo on the vinyl. I thought, well, what a weird crossover that is.
Yeah, apparently the
that was
sponsored.
That was Morten Arsted, wasn't it? Oh, Morten over in Denmark, who showed that American football one or baseball team or something.
Baseball. I think they've got one for each of the
baseball one. Yeah,
Major League Baseball teams.
So I got a question. What is the end game of completists? I don't have a clue.
Completion.
Right? No. What is the end game? Huh? What said, Elliot?
I said there's no way you'll ever reach a complete set. There'll always be something.
That's true. That's true. But even if you think but even completists has the age. I mean, what do they expect to do with these things? I mean, do they expect somebody to buy it? Thank you for your effort. Here's here is here's a price well over asking for your effort. I mean, their kids are just going to go to the charity shops or the flea markets and sell the shit. So I just don't get it.
I don't either. Not a completist to that extreme. Originally, when somebody asked me if he was a completist on it, I'm a completist on a few artists, but it's not every variation of every album. It's I want to have their catalog.
You just want one of each album.
Delbert McClinton, for instance. I've tried to accumulate all his studio and live albums. And, we're talking 20, 22, something like that. But I have no interest in accumulating this same album that I've already got on with a different record label or a different pressing, or the photograph was different on this cover of the same album. When I say completist, for me, it just means I want their catalog.
Yeah.
And not everything they ever played on, like they were backup singer for this group, and went in the studio and did this for this one. It's never ending if you do that.
Elliot, what artists have you completed on, or do you want to complete on?
Delbert McClinton would be the main one. He's somebody that I've seen play maybe a half dozen times. Somebody I really like. He's got has had a long career. He's retired now, but he's still with us. Had a long career, and he's such a great vocalist. Is a kind of an R&B vocalist that delves into blues and country and rock. So he's the only one that I've really tried to be a completist on. And he was making some records in Fort Worth, Texas when he was like 14, 15 years old. And there's a couple of them I may not have. I've got one of those from when he was about the Delrays was a high school band he was in. And I found one of those records, but I'm not going to pay somebody $150 for one of those records, nothing like that. But
no.
That's why I had to get rid of all my CDs, because I had let's take Deep Purple. I had all the Deep Purple, all the Whitesnake, all the Rainbow, all the Gillan, anything associated. I've got them all still on my iPods, so I haven't physically got them. I've got the albums. I've got all the Queen albums. They're all original pressings, every single one of them. That's what a completist is to me. I don't need a remaster. I don't need a Japanese import with one extra track. I've heard the remastered of the Queen first two Queen albums with all the extra crap. I've heard it, but
yeah.
I've got the original Queen album, and that's all I really need. The other tracks are okay, but I don't want thing. I'm going to start building up collections now, so I just want one copy of one album.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah, me too.
When I was a kid, when Marillion, I brought everything Marillion ever played, and with Fish Era, and I got to the stage of, what am I doing? I can't play them all at the same time. So I stopped. I thought, I'm spending money here. I don't need to.
Yeah.
When I pulled this record out the show today, let me grab it here. When I pulled this record out the show today,
yeah,
I have 3 copies of this.
Yeah.
But when I look, some of them were when I bought somebody's collection or somebody gave me their collection, so I get some of these. But when I look, the other 2, I kept the best condition one.
Sure.
And the other 2 I've got that I'll sell at a record show.
Sure.
But for a while there, I was going, why do I have 3 copies of the Allman Brothers' first album? Why do I have, 4 copies of Beggar's Banquet? Something like that. I don't need them. I'm like you're saying, Ian. It's time to cull the collection a little bit, and let's share the love with some other folks. Let them pick up these albums, listen to us, because as you say, you can't listen to them but one at a time.
all the
I've got
all these variants, all these different variants of the same album, and I mean the latest artist is Kate Bush. All their albums were re-released, I think, last week or the week before.
Yeah.
And I saw some guy doing an unboxing. He's one of these one of these faceless people. You see his hands and the album on the table. And I don't really like those sort of videos. Anyway, that's another story. But he was showing these albums and he was saying, well, you know, this is a copy. This is the latest copy of Hounds of Love. And basically, he was saying it's just like the previous remaster. It was the same remaster, and there was something written on the back cover that kind of said it was released, you know, this week or last week, and that was the only difference. And you think, well, why? It's just to try and create demand, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And record companies know there are people out there that will buy this stuff.
It's called marketing people.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, remember in the 1990s, they convinced me and most everybody else that you're not going to be able to buy albums anymore. CDs that you're going to have to buy, and they're better. And what did they do? How did that boost CD sales so much? Because I had to go buy a whole new copy of Who's Next, a whole new copy of you know, the Allman Brothers and Sisters. And, you know, how would they lure you in? They would go, oh, well, it's on the CD. And we were thrown in 2 alternate takes and 1 live performance of songs on this recording, this CD.
Yeah.
And they were just getting me to rebuy my entire record collection.
And now,
I mean, there is. Sorry, Michael. Sorry, go.
Well, now we're into the print production aspect of it, the papers. Feel the paper, the rich inserts. The limited edition. It's now become like a piece of art. And they've taken, the market's being led in another direction.
Yeah,
and that is
exactly.
Collectible. Go on.
Yeah, I think sometimes that the amount that the limited edition is limited to is what they gauge the demand will be anyway.
Yes.
So it's not really limited. There is one advantage of buying. I mean, I bought CDs that I had vinyl records of, and the one thing you can say about a CD is that you can play it in a car. And that's so there's that advantage, but yeah, I mean more than one copy of the same vinyl album, I don't get it.
I must admit, I've got one album, I've got 2 copies, and that's The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. I've got the UK pressing, but I was at a record fair and I picked up a Canadian pressing on the Acto label, and it was £10, and I thought, that's a bit different, it's on a different label, and I haven't got the same album, but I just thought it was different, and that's the only album I've got because it's on Acto, and that's it. But I wouldn't go and do that for every album.
There's a guy in the record collector group on Facebook who buys every copy of Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brasses, Whipped Cream, and Other Delights. There are a few guys that do this. They have hundreds of them, and I've seen people with Black Sabbath Volume 4 and Masters of Reality, 30 copies of it. Incredible obsession for one thing. Yeah. It's just amazing, really fascinating.
I will pick up when I see it in a thrift store or something for $1. If I look at a Whipped Cream and Other Delights, and it looks like the vinyl's in pretty good shape, I'll pick that sucker up just for the heck of it. Now, I probably got 6 or 8 of them. It's just because they're so cheap, and I love the whole story.
I know where this is going.
Of the cover and all that sort of stuff. It's crazy, but now if they were $5 or $10, I wouldn't touch them. but for 50 cents or $1, yeah, throw it in there. Or I'll go to a record show and we'll bargain for a price on us, say several records I'm gonna buy from you. And I'll go, I'll buy that price if you'll throw in one of those Herb Albert records. You know.
Anyway, Nick, what about your collection of do-it-yourself?
Yeah, there's 34 to collect. I've got 30.
Yeah.
But I know somebody's got a lot of Quadrophenia albums.
No.
No, who in their right mind would do that?
Well, I'm thinking of painting my hallway so I could let you have the wallpaper if that's any use.
Oh, I've got the wallpaper here. Yeah, it's having the will to do it.
Yeah,
it's all in the planning stage.
Going back to, sorry, Nick, going back to the albums. I'm not going to go and buy any of the albums that I've already got when I get my new hi-fi. What's the point? I want to put them old ones on and listen to the cracks, and go, yeah, I remember this. No, I mean, like you're saying, Mike, about Kate Bush, Hounds of Love. I've got one copy. The copy that I brought when it came out.
Yeah. That's all you need, isn't it?
Yeah. There are a few examples. For instance, Sgt. Pepper. I grew up with the CD in the 90s. And by the time I got into vinyl, I had a chance to buy an analog mono copy, original UK. It was different. So I kept both copies because one is the CD I grew up with. The one is a great UK press sound. So plus it's a mono, so it's not the same.
I think if you ask anyone on the panel, there's nothing wrong in that. You know, you get, if an opportunity comes to buy an original copy. A bit like my Queen. I mean, my first copy of the first Queen album was a reissue. Went to a record fair, original pressing. Thank you very much. And I got rid of the reissue because I didn't need it. But you know, that's the only time I'll do that if it's something that I've got, and I'm glad I've got all them Queen albums because they're worth a few quid now.
And I don't know what you refer to it in the UK, but we'll call it a placeholder here in the US oftentimes. You make use of the same terminology. But you'll find a record you really want that you don't see very often. And it's not in the best condition.
Yeah.
Or the jacket's not in the best condition. But you'll buy it. And it's your placeholder until you find that really nice copy.
Yeah.
And then you've got two copies, and then you got to figure out what to do with the placeholder, you know. Keep it.
I do that, Elliot. You know, if I see something that I want and I haven't got a copy, I'll probably buy it, even if it might not be, you know, as you say, the best copy in the world.
Yeah. That's it. Like I have replaced my Out of the Blue because my original Out of the Blue is absolutely knackered and it's starting to warp because I played it so much growing up. And I needed to go. I thought I'm not going to put that on a new turntable, and that's why I brought that picture disc version of it to replace it because it's one of them albums that I love, and I wanted it again. I always had it. I'm going to get it, but to have it on picture disc is just brilliant. Bit like my Dave Edmunds. The tape chewed up years ago. I listened to it on Spotify because that's it. But to actually own it again.
Yeah,
it's a very special album from when I grew up. You know, it came out when I was 11, 12. I loved it. You know, and I'm so glad I've got it again. But I wouldn't go and buy another copy of that tomorrow. Or if it come out on record day as an indigo blue thing, would I get it? No, I've got an original pressing on the Swan label, which means more to me than a picture disc because it's on Swan.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, Steve Carlson did quite an interesting thing a while ago when he was talking about sort of record store day. I think he was talking about, this sort of Black Friday that's just gone. But, he was saying that, you need to be careful that quite often you can pick up an original of the, of whatever the album is for probably sort of, 10, 15 quid less than the record store day.
Oh, yeah.
Copy.
Yeah.
So, why do it? I mean, I'm not knocking record store day completely, because I think sometimes you get opportunity to buy stuff that you just don't see around.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's great. Yeah. But a lot of it seems to be, taking the mickey a little bit.
Well, I think the original intent of Record Store Day was a very noble intent.
Yes. Yes.
Get people into the independent record stores and revitalize the vinyl demand, and that I think that's great. But like anything else, sometimes it can the wheels can fall off, or the original content can be clouded and lost. I wish record store days, when they would do record store days, and some record stores do this, but I wish they would it would be like a fire sale, okay, you come in on record store day or store weekend, and everything is 25% off or whatever, and you go away for them to clear some of their inventory and make some money. I know some independent record stores don't even do record store day releases because of the requirements to be in it, and the fact that they can't, if they overbuy, they can't send it back to get it.
That's right.
They get stuck with them, and 2 years later, I end up buying it for half price or something.
There is this YouTube channel, this fellow Jason Elwood, and he just did a video where he showed a grab bag of jazz records that he got for like $10 each, new jazz records, because the store had dead stock. And he's asking in his video, is this a possible trend now? I mean, are we in a bubble? And are there just so many records being produced and not enough people to buy them? I mean, you got to admit, it's got to be a bubble. When you have records that are being issued as new issues that are $75 to $150, and salaries are not exactly going up amongst the rank and file, I'd say it's a bubble. And I think the next thing we have to look forward to is maybe this guy, Jason, identified a new trend, which is they're going to have to do something with this dead stock.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bought, and this was from the VC, from a live stream. Somebody just popped in and said, "Hey, look at Resonance Records. They've got this record. Look at this price." And I went immediately and found that website. Never bought anything from them before, but they had a 10 album Nat King Cole trio from 1936 to 1945 box set that they were selling for $250, I believe it was, or $220, something like that. They had it marked down to $60. Wow. So I went on, by the time I paid tax and shipping, it was $75 is all it was. And I hadn't gotten it yet, but it's on the way. But, there's 10 Nat King, I know that's a niche. How many people, when most people buy jazz, they're going into the bebop era and the hard bop and that sort of stuff. But so that's definitely to get into that period, pre-bop period, But I eat that stuff up and love it. But I'm sure they press too many. What's the demand for Nat King Cole trio box sets for $250?
Yeah.
Couldn't be that much. Right. Now for $75, ding, ding, ding. I'll take it.
Yeah, I was talking to this. We had this long conversation. I says, "How's business?" He says, "It's booming." And he says, "What's encouraging is a lot of young metalheads, in their 20s, are really getting into vinyl, and they're coming in here. I said, what are they buying? They said they're buying Metallica, they're buying Iron Maiden, early Iron Maiden. You know, none of the latest stuff. They want things like Number of the Beast and Peace of Mind. And he says, I'm having to reorder my all that old metal that me and you grew up on, because the kids today are dying for this metal. And they're saying that it sounds better on vinyl, which they're absolutely right. You know, it's encouraging that the younger generation are really getting into vinyl.
Are they buying used, or are you talking about new press?
They're buying used, they're buying new stuff. Whatever they can get their hands on. It's more in the heavy metal, heavy rock scene that the kids are going wild for.
I've got to admit that when I go car boot sale, crate digging and that, I'm seeing more and more young people flicking through the boxes and the bins than I am older people or people of my age. I'm 56. I see plenty of younger people, early 20s, teenagers.
Mm-hmm. It's encouraging though, isn't it, to see that generation are getting as excited about vinyl as we did when we were their age. You know, this street mark.
It's different though, isn't it, Ian? Because when we were growing up, it was vinyl or nothing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so it was sort of, if you're into music, that's what you bought. But now there's all sorts of choices, aren't there? You don't have to play anything physical at all. You can have it all on Spotify. So yeah. But if you know if young people aren't going to buy vinyl, then you know the market will collapse sooner or later, won't it?
Yeah.
They can't keep relying on the 50. They can't keep relying on the 50 and 60 and 70-year-olds, because in a few years, those 50, 60, and 70-year-olds are going to be 60, 70, and 80-year-olds. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We won't be here forever, will we, Ellie?
Yeah, but we're going to be the generation in our 80s and we're still listening to punk.
Yeah. I refuse to grow old with any grace and decorum.
That's the spirit, yeah.
I wasn't listening. You were showing the Dave Edmunds, and we've talked about that a little bit. I wasn't listening to much rock and roll when I was in my early 20s, late teens, early 20s. Much more into country and blues and things like that, because I just couldn't connect with the corporate rock that it was evolving into, or had evolved into in a lot of cases and stuff like that, and the big sound. But I said back then that the salvation of rock and roll for me was Nick Lowe and Dave Edmunds and those guys coming out of England that were doing, I guess you call it pub rock. You know, is that a good?
That's what it's called. It's called pub rock.
Pub rock, not power
was,
pop.
To me, they were Dave Edmunds and Nick Lowe especially, and maybe bands like the Pretenders, Chrissie Hynde and the Pretenders. They were shaking everybody and saying, you know, get back with it. We got to get back to the basics. And they did such a good job getting back. So the only rock and roll I was listening, I was buying Rockpile and Dave Edmunds and Nick Lowe and the Pretenders and stuff like that when it came to rock and roll music. Otherwise, I was going into other genres.
Yeah. I mean, I think the UK was slightly different because, I mean, I was 14 in 1972, and there was very much a sort of, you know, a youth market, a teen market for music. I mean, particularly singles market. You know, with glam rock. You know, Sweet, Slade, T-Rex, all of those bands, and then, you know, we still had, you know, the Who. You know, that they were still, you know, a respected band in the 70s with young people.
Fast forward to 1980, Mike. What about by 1980?
Sorry?
Fast forward to 1980, when you would be 22 or so. What was the feeling then? What was the atmosphere as far as rock and roll was concerned in the UK?
It was new wave.
It was new wave.
Post-punk.
And one of the biggest bands was Blondie, who were having more success over here than in the States.
Yeah. Blondie were massive, weren't they? You
still had Two Tone then, Gary Newman, Tubeway Army. Like you say, Blondie.
I think that like the pinnacle of like disgusting stadium rock was, and sorry, I don't want to hurt any feelings here, but it was like, kind of like Emerson, Lake and Palmer in a huge stadium. That was what people were reacting against. I mean, I heard quotes of John Lydon just saying, "We're here. We formed this in reaction to like Emerson, Lake and Palmer." Actually, he and Keith Emerson became great friends when Keith Emerson died. But that was when the two collided. Go on.
That's exactly right, and sort of I'm sure at least the UK people here will know the sort of the old grey whistle test story about Bob Harris and Johnny Rotten. No, sorry, it was Sid Vicious. And at the time, the old grey whistle test in the 70s was the sort of live music BBC program. That they weren't concentrating on the top 20. It was albums, bands, and whatever. So, I can remember Emerson, Lake and Palmer doing America on grey whistle test, but Bob Harris was very much sort of in the prog rock, stadium rock sort of era.
Yeah.
And, we get to 76, 77. And, the BBC say, well, there's this genre called punk and you've got to have punks on. And, the story is that one night the Sex Pistols were on and Sid Vicious had Bob Harris up against the wall and telling him it was time for him to go. And then again, John Lydon always said that, although he pretended not to, he was always into a bit of prog rock. But things move on, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I suppose the biggest influence on me was the new wave of British heavy metal.
Example.
I was at that age when that genre started to be, when Iron Maiden came on the scene, Tigers of Pantang, Tokyo Blade, Diamond Head. These great bands who went on to influence the next generation. For me, I did like punk, but the twin guitar, the heavy metal twin guitar, just changed music again. They took the basics of punk. I mean, you take Iron Maiden, some of their stuff, their early stuff's quite punky. And Paul Di'Anno was a punk.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I've always thought that sort of Motorhead were a metal band that punks would like. I certainly did.
Yeah. Well, they weren't a heavy metal band. I mean,
heavy rock, weren't they? Really, not. They were really metal. You're right. Yeah.
When he came on stage, it was we're Motorhead and we played rock and roll.
Yeah.
I mean, back then, as a 15, 16-year-old, 81. It was like you had everything on a plate. You had every genre, because you had punk, post-punk, indie, and new wave, all the new romantics, the ska. You had the whole thing, sort of transmogrifying into some very interesting stuff, So I feel fortunate, actually. The early 80s, for me, is when it was all going on,
Yeah.
It was a great time to be in growing up, I think.
Yeah.
At the age of 8, you said, Steve, there was so much going on. And there was a lot of crossover. You got people like me liking bands like Ultravox. And there was the other way around. There was new wave bands who were liking some metal bands. It was everyone sort of crossed over because it was just good music. And then along came Stark, Aiken and Waterman and just ruined it all.
Did you feel like there were a gap between like new wave band like maybe Depeche Mode, New Order, or and all the bands that were inspired by Joy Division like Psychedelic Furs, Echo and the Bunnymen, The Cure, early U2? Did you feel that there were a gap between new wave and those kind of rock back in the day?
No, not at all. No. They were different bands.
Right.
It was for me. It was like innovation that.
Yeah.
It was everybody was innovating with different styles. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a very fond memory. I think it was 81, seeing New Order in Bournemouth Town Hall, which was just like a small hall. And YouTube, there's even like a live bootleg tape of that, and I'm thinking I'm in that audience. And now, you know, you can't seem to get New Order for love nor money. They just constantly tour around North America, getting the big bucks. And I think I don't think they would ever come back to anything like that venue ever again. You know, and I remember it. I remember it. The sound was really shit as well.
We played the Civic Hall in Wolverhampton in 2015 because I were there. Which is, I wouldn't say that's a particularly massive venue by any stretch.
Yeah, but it just seems now they're just constantly touring North America. I don't know.
Well, they announced a couple of shows for next summer, didn't they? One's in Wythenshawe Park, and the other, I've forgotten what the other one is. I can't, but I know Johnny Marr supported them in Wythenshawe.
Yeah.
So,
well, they all came out of art schools, right? I mean, there were so many good art schools, and lots of these bands came out of art schools. And one thing that always amazed me was stories about people who picked up a guitar and couldn't even play a note and started playing, and they just kind of learned like on stage or together. Right? That always floors me.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's a history of punk rock in the UK. You know, the Buzzcocks are a prime example. Susie and the Banshees. You know, they just thought this is a great idea.
I think Susie and the Banshees are like the example, because they were like punk for like literally 10 minutes. Yeah. And then their own creativity, particularly Susie and Severin, took over, and they just went off in a complete direction of their own. You know.
I'd say the same about Joy Division. I mean, Bernard and Peter freely admit when they started out, they couldn't play a note.
Yeah.
And then if you think, you know, I've heard the early Joy Division or Warsaw demos, and they are kind of like generic punk. But if you think about Unknown Pleasures and everything that came afterwards, I mean, you know, they're in a league of their own, really, in quite a short period of time. So they learn on the job quick as far as playing and writing and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want a couple of records quickly?
Yeah, go on.
All right. Okay. So
I've got to find you at the bottom. There's so many people on here. There we go.
Roxy Music, something different.
Roxy Music, sorry, $3.99. Any good?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah, that's excellent. And who's on the cover of that? The lovely Jerry Hall.
Jerry Hall.
Yeah.
Didn't realize she had blue skin, but there we are.
Yes.
Okay. Let's test the Americans, see if they know this one.
The American. Oh, I love that song. What is it? What's the song on that? Ship of Fools. Isn't it?
Fools, yeah.
Oh man, that's such a great song.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the only good song on the record, I believe.
Oh no, you've got what else? You've got Ship of Fools. You've got there's another one, isn't it? World Party isn't so bad. You know, the title track. So that's $6.99.
Very good. A Goodbye.
Yeah, that's great.
Personal friend of mine, LP. I haven't got this one.
King Crimson. King Crimson. Seriously.
I really like. Is it Islands on here?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, I love that. Love Island. So I thought I'd have that. That was actually $12.99.
Ouch.
But it's a first pressing.
I mean, what's the vinyl like? The cover's a bit beat up, isn't it?
It is. Well, let me. Full disclosure, it's got a poster in there as well.
Ooh.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very clean and tidy. Looks can be deceiving.
But
yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Elliot if he, because I asked Michael this, the Stones' Exile on Main Street. Do you like that album? Is it a good album?
I really like that. It's probably my favorite Rolling Stones album.
Because that was in the charity shop and it didn't have a cover. So double LP, it was like $3.99, and I went back yesterday and it had gone. So I thought, I missed it, But £2 a record, I thought that would be quite good for a listen with the Stones. But anyway, I did manage to get this.
Oh yes.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lovely album.
General pressing.
Yeah.
So I've got the second one, so I thought I'd get that.
I brought that when it came out.
And then
Is that the one with
me
with
too.
fast car?
Me too.
With fast, fast car.
yeah, and then a couple of singles.
Who dat?
Oh
Japan. For
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah. I know that place.
Emotion. That was
I have
99p.
that one as well.
99p, and then I pushed the boat out with my little collection.
Mm-hmm. That's a nice photo. Oh, the Smiths. Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the single is, Michael?
I have no idea. Not a clue.
Shoplifters of the World Unite.
The 5-finger discount.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff, Stevie.
Okay, make them smaller.
Okay, thank you.
I have my couple of recent pickups.
Go on, Elliot. Go for it.
Elliot. Hold on. Technical stuff here. There we go.
Okay.
I did a video that had a clickbait title a month or so ago called "Don't Buy Hackney Diamonds."
Yes, I saw that.
Where I basically said, why spend $35 for a legacy rock band when you can take that same $35 and get 10 records you haven't heard from? So, and I went and bought online some records total less than $35, 10 of them, some Dixieland jazz, some country, some bluegrass, some folk music, some blues, just a variety of things that were inexpensive. But one person, I really enjoyed the comments in that. Most people weren't. They realized I was being, I wasn't being too serious. I was just, I was doing it in a joking manner. And one guy said, "I'm going to buy Hackney Diamonds, but if you want something that you've never heard before," and he recommended this artist. So I went out and got it. So see, the VC helps. This you can't really tell anything from this cover, but this is from a guy named Daniel Bachman, who's a current artist. The album is called Seven Pines, and it's from about 10 years ago. I didn't get the one the guy recommended was a brand new album, and it was $28. So I looked and found this one sealed, new and sealed, $12. But this guy is a acoustic finger picking guitarist. So I think he's overdubbed himself on some of it, because I don't see how he could get all that sound out just with one live recording, But very interesting. No vocals, totally instrumental, much like Leo Cocky or John Fahey, or someone like that. But this was really, and I've got to go back to the comments and say, hey, I got this album. I'm going to get more by this guy. He's really good. And the other one was, I don't normally buy audiophile records, but I got such a good deal on this sealed new. This was the only Bill Withers from his early period that I didn't have, the Steel Bill album. And this is a Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab. And love it. I just listened. I've only listened to side one on this. In fact, when we get off of here, I'm going to play side two. But it does have really good sound stage on it, I have to say. But Steel Bill got it for $28. And that's everything, tax, shipping, everything. $28. And so, what does a Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab record usually cost new? 40 or more? I don't know. But I got it from an individual. seal for that, and that's awesome.
Well, it doesn't matter how much it costs, as long as you're happy with it. That's what counts, isn't it?
That's true. That's true. But I don't know if it was. He was just sitting on it. It was an individual, but he had never opened it. He was just sitting on it and was ready to unload it. So I said, "I'll take it." Yeah, $28.
Right, and you show something else, Ramon.
Yeah, as you know, I visited your lovely country 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Took a quick trip to the UK.
You were in Plymouth.
Yeah, Plymouth, Torquay, Bristol. Yeah, and Michael, do you know that band?
I know the drummer is Billy Mundy, who used to be with the Mothers of Invention, and that is kind of like is that a jazz fusion band? I know that their first record is supposed to be their best.
It's
Everything
a label.
Go on.
Yeah, that's on label Elektra. So the band, they have the Doors, Tim Buckley, Paul Butterfield,
Yep.
White Band.
Yep.
And he said the guy in the story said it's his he said he had one client. He loves all the prog. He already had a copy of that album. It's quoted on Discogs, psych, hard blues, but it's more like late 60s prog. But it's a really good record. Yeah.
Yeah, I previewed it. I was curious about it. I previewed it, and it didn't really rock my boat. So I didn't make. But I love the cover. I mean, the cover art on that is just incredible.
This is a record. I was in Salisbury, Wiltshire, to meet a guy I work with, and I found that record for £50.
Wow!
Didn't buy, and on the next store in Plymouth, I got it for 25.
Nice.
What was the name of the store in Plymouth?
Let me just check quickly. I took a couple of pictures.
That's a good boy, that is.
Really cool store. He had amazing stuff. Used. It's not a fancy store. Let me just check. I just took a photograph.
Is it Vinyl Days? Yeah, that's a great store. That one.
Yeah,
I've been in there. Yeah.
And something for Michael.
Yes.
You know that album?
Classic.
Oh my god!
But this is a special. This is not the fate.
Throwing your money away.
How so? Oh my goodness!
Yes.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
Oh my goodness!
The original.
Yeah. And I paid 40 quid. It's not.
I'd pay 40 for the pink label.
Yeah.
This is so sad.
I know.
Since I got into
good album.
And one question. I got this record for very cheap. This is in Bristol.
Sell it.
And
Sell it.
£7 50 pence. And
that's not bad. That's not bad.
It's okay. It's a VG. It's okay. Is that the original label? Because I know they were a Manticore label. That gray with that Manticore animal. But this is a nylon pressing. Is that what is the first? I was wondering what is the first pressing.
I don't know. I mean, the one I've got, I'm sure, is Manticore.
And looks like that one. This is a.
Who's that? Ooh, Phaedra.
Oh, I was listening.
Yes, yeah, Tangerine Dream.
Oh, it's beautiful, and I was lucky because I found this record in Bristol, and it's a German. No, it's an English press. It's an English pressing.
How much was that?
I don't remember. Maybe 15-ish something pounds. So
There's one in our local charity shop if anybody wants it.
No, thank you.
Well, you're gonna love that nursery crime. You're gonna love that nursery. The Emerson Lake and Palmer, not so much.
That nursery crime.
Huh?
And I also found an original U2.
Oh,
Original 1991.
Why not?
Yeah, that's original. I brought that on day of release, believe it or not. Yeah.
And and some Bob Marley.
Very nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice. UK press, and I think that's the original. I think that's the original island label.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave just found out Island was the original label for the ELP trilogy.
This one as well.
Ooh. Now,
Yeah.
I would buy that, but not for the music, just for the artwork alone. Because I love the work of H.R. Giger.
Did somebody write on that jacket?
Yeah.
Oh my! What did they write? What did they write?
Sacrilege. Yeah.
Football score.
Shaq, Mud, Moss, December 75. Don't know what does that mean.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? And more recent band. This is Brian Johnstone.
Fresh out of finishing school. Nice guys. Really, they're so nice to each other in public.
Yeah. The reason I know.
Have you listened to any of Anton Newcomb's stuff with Tess Sparks?
Not yet.
Yeah, you should. It's good stuff.
Okay. And some German crowd rock. German.
Yeah.
They sing in German, Novalis, and I found this in Bath, in the beautiful city of Bath, and I was shocked because that's German press.
Yeah.
I took a trip to the UK, and it's that famous Brain label. They had an amazing band like Rockschnitt, Jane. Yeah.
If someone had said to you, you're going to pick up a German pressing album in Bath, you'd go, nah.
yeah. No, but it was a lovely trip. I took a 5-day trip, so
nice.
I drove on the wrong side.
I've done that.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's my feeling is that London is very expensive. I mean, if you go in the countryside, if you travel, if you go to Bristol, we last year we were in Bournemouth and Canterbury. It's much more cheaper. You can.
Yeah.
Plus, I had really good deal with the plane tickets. I paid like 260 Canadian dollar to travel from Montreal to London. So
wow.
And I had to see a guy I work with anyway. So I say, okay, I say, my wife, come with me. We will take advantage. We will stay in the UK 6 days.
Right.
And it's fine because I don't find this pressing over here. I don't find these copies here in Montreal. Not that price. It's impossible. Nursery Crime, first UK press with a pink label. You don't find this record here in Canada or in close Vermont, the US.
Anywhere. I've never seen a pink.
No.
Yeah.
How did you pack them to bring them back home though on plane?
Oh, I only had one carry on. It's fine. I had practically nothing. Just
so you just carried it on.
Okay. Exactly. I put in my carry-on suitcase and that's it. They didn't bother at the customs, and I was lucky. So yeah, this was my UK trip finds.
Excellent. Glad you enjoyed your visit.
I really enjoyed.
You can always find a good record shop somewhere, not probably on the main street, but in the back streets. That's where you find the best record shops in this country.
Yeah.
I think technically in the UK, a carry-on that will fit vinyl records is slightly too large. Because I think I looked into that and it was just technically a little too slight smidgen too big. I might be wrong, but just to warn you.
Thank you.
Have you ever been to the UK, Michael?
Yes, I have.
Oh,
yes, I have.
He's banned from the UK.
What's that?
I said you're banned from the UK.
No,
extradited.
I was welcomed. In fact, I have to remember the area that I was in. I think I told you. It was visiting the UK offices of a company I used to work at.
I think
I was in Europe for a year.
I think it was Swindon or something. You said
it was Swindon. Yes.
Yeah, just like the office. Yeah.
Yes.
That's Slough.
Slough. That's right. That's
oh yeah, Slough, lovely place.
Yeah. Makes Luton look posh.
It was posh.
Yeah, it makes Luton look posh. Slough does.
Yeah. One of the few towns that has a railway station with no railway.
Which is bad.
Yes. And it's got, if you go and watch football at Luton Town, the away stand is in like it's in the middle of a terraced housing, and you go up the steps and you can see into people's gardens, can't you?
Yeah, I think the entrance is in between a couple of terraced houses, isn't it?
Yeah, the chip shop.
Yeah.
I went there many years ago when the Cobblers played there.
Oh, I thought for a minute you were going to say you were one of the Millwall hooligans.
No, I went there to watch the Cobblers a long time ago.
No, he wasn't soft enough to be a Millwall supporter.
Yeah.
Blimey.
So is Rob going to just taunt us from his living room and not come on camera?
Ooh, fighting
Well, he's been off doing football practice, so I don't know. He might not be fit.
In a pit state. Anyway, we are coming up to the 2 hour. The 2 hours. And
we're beyond. We're nearly at 2.5.
2.5, yeah.
Well, once again, it's just we've had a super panel tonight. You know, it's from all over the world. Not, you know, we've got Japan, Canada, America, and it's
North of England, South of England.
Northern Ireland.
We've got the southwest, the northwest,
the Midlands.
Yeah, Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Yorkshire.
North of the Watford Gap.
Let's not say too much about Yorkshire.
I think I've been representing the north of England on my own tonight. Yeah.
Well, you know, there's more serial killers from Yorkshire than any other county.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, I know. You just like.
One thing we need to do now.
All right.
Thumbnail, isn't it?
Yeah. Album covers at the ready. 3, 2, 1.
I've got my pint pot.
Yeah, there we go. Lovely.
Bing.
Right. And out of your thing, Stevie, that the question you put, we're altering the thumbnails for 2024. It's already been done.
Did I hear you say at the start you were going to rank Susie and the Banshees albums or something?
On Monday, yes. Susie and the Banshees.
Is there anything I could do that would prevent you from doing that?
Oh, come on. I'm looking forward to it, Stevie.
Okay, quick thing.
I know if I watch it, I'm going to get upset. You know.
I know Mike is. Dave is. What about you, Jimmy? Are you Susie and the Banshees?
I know bidding starts at a barrel of whiskey.
I like a bit of them, but I've not deep dived, so well, I should do probably.
I'll try not to get upset when I watch it.
All right with a bit of Susie. So you're outvoted, Stevie. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
Anyway,
come on, you've had one good win already, Stevie.
Yeah, it's true.
Thank you very much for watching, and a big thank you for everyone that's watched over the last 2 years. 250,000 of us.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Yes.
Great achievement.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for Elliot again. It's always a pleasure to have Elliot.
Yeah.
Wisdom.
Enjoyed visiting with you all.
Thank you very much. Bye for now, folks.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.